Hey guys, Josh with Link Spider. So today is the 4th of September 2024. GoPro came out with their annual new product release or pre-release announcement. And surprise, surprise, the GoPro Hero 13 is the new primary product. And they're releasing what they call, I believe, a 4K or just the Hero, which again, that's some bizarre naming conventions that GoPro has used in the past. So they're two products, and so if you guys know Link Spider well, you know that anytime one of those products comes out, we immediately pre-order it or go pick it up if it's available. And we've done this since the Hero 3, and we have purchased all of their items throughout that time, missing maybe a couple of the 360. We have the 360 Max, and 360 is just not a great product for mounting on the fence, recording ball games. It's good for some other stuff, but we don't do a whole lot with that. So in the last few years, the upgrades have been very incremental, or in some cases just slapping a new product number on an old product. The 9, the 10, the 11, the 12, and now the 13 share the same body style, which is handy because some of the mods, like the media mod, will work on all those products. But it also really means that there's really not a lot inside the box that changed. So the 11 and the 12 were again incrementally different. The 12 seemed to handle heat a little bit better, but still had a lot of the issues with streaming. It did stream, starting with the 11. You do have the ability to change your field of view while streaming. That's one critical thing that, prior to that, we wouldn't recommend it at all. But, and we don't really see this in the studio when we do the testing, but out in the field, unless you have a really good carrier signal or really good Wi-Fi, streaming is not really stable on a GoPro camera. So I say all that to say two things. One, we will not be buying the 4K, the small item. And the reason is because it has an embedded battery, and GoPros are notorious for overheating in general. But if you don't remove the internal battery, you just can't stop it. There's nothing that you can put in place to prevent overheating. So we won't be buying that. It's a very limited camera. I will say the one benefit to that over the other Mini is this one does have a back LCD, and we don't like the cameras that don't have an LCD because you can't, they're very difficult to set up. It requires a remote connection. It's just an extra layer to have to deal with. So that's a nice feature, but we still won't be getting it because of the battery. As for the 13, again, we usually buy it day one, and then we go through the testing. So we put it in our torture chamber to do the heated testing. We find out what the camera can and cannot do. And we're not going to do that this year. That's not to say that we won't buy the camera. It is $399, which is on par with the GoPro releases in the last few years. If you have a subscription, the Premier subscription, it's $299. This camera has all kinds of smart lenses, like the macro lens and the ultra wide lens, and when you put it on, the camera detects it. That's a nice feature. I don't think it does much for baseball and softball. But here's the main reason why we're not really going to be buying it on day one. And what we're waiting for is we're waiting for GoPro to release the manual, and we'll go through that manual. And that allows us to do a deep dive to determine what physically has changed in that camera. And there are two things that we're looking for. One, it does have Wi-Fi 6. And Wi-Fi 6 is newer wireless technology, and we're hoping that may help some of the stability issues. But the heat is a big deal. And in the advent of adding LCDs on the front, as well as the existing one on the back, heat is an issue. If you keep the camera covered, you can reduce a lot of that issue. We've even put tape on the front LCD, like masking tape, and that helps as well if you're out at a field that there's a lot of front-facing light. That does help. But we want GoPro to go a little bit farther and add some heat reduction, add some thermal overload limit changes that will prevent the camera from shutting down so quickly. That is the two biggest complaints from our customers and from the streaming community in general is that the camera overheats. It does. You can reduce it, but it does overheat compared to like the Mevo cameras and the wireless connectivity. So if we find things in that manual that we find will fix either one of those things, or if some of the other testing that's done out in the field, then we will grab one of those cameras and put it through our annual testing. We'll still do a rolling review on our page like we've done with the other things, which again, it's not going to really be a review if we don't own the camera. But we will at least list the features, some of the new things that might benefit you inside and outside recording and streaming baseball and softball games. So again, this may change if information comes out, but given the very small incremental changes in the last few devices, it just doesn't benefit us at this point. We have a lot of GoPros sitting around, and for the most part, we don't use a lot of them. And so, in fact, the last streaming that I did with a GoPro about a month ago was with a Hero 7. Okay, that's quite old. But the reason why we did that is because the Hero 7 as the last camera to have an onboard HDMI port. And so we patched that into one of our encoders and did some streaming that way. And that's very, very stable. And actually you'll find that the quality is as good going that route as most of the modern cameras. So anyhow, long-winded recording. I expected this to be about a 1.5 minute deal, and it looks like we're almost on 7 minutes. So I hope you haven't dropped off. If there are things that you want to see, if you think we got this wrong and you say, no, we think this is going to be a great camera, please go get it and test it. Let us know. Give us your thoughts. We'll pass it on. See you guys.